Well, welcome everyone to Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game. I'm your host, Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and money color commentator. On today's show, the misguided reasons people claim benefits early, part 4 in our series on Social Security, America's #1 retirement plan, with nationally recognized Social Security expert Brian Doherty. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me.
If you do not know your maximum benefits, but you do know how to go on socialsecurity.gov and pull down your numbers, you can go to Brian's site, absolutely free, just plug it in, at gettingpaidtowait.com. And if you go on there, you'll be able to see their numbers. It'll describe everything. If you're qualified, even in our last segment when we talked about restrictive application, if you're qualified, it'll automatically tell you are and show you your numbers. Also, if you need to read, I'm talking about, there's not too many books that consumers want to read, but this is Social Security. This is your lifetime benefit. This is the cornerstone of your retirement plan. You need to read Brian's book. Go right out to Amazon.com, Getting Paid to Wait. I would be buying this book. It's not a hard read. It's not deep, even though Brian is an MBA from Syracuse and he's got a BA in accounting, and I know it sounds like a lot, but his book is easy to read, and I want you to read it because I want you to make sure that you are maximizing your benefits. You paid into it. Everybody complains about the internal rate of return. Well, maybe if you maximized your benefits, that IRR would look too bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Brian, I want to know, there's so many reasons everybody says, hey, you know what? The country is going to hell in a handbasket. I got to get my money while the getting's good at age 62. I've heard so many misguided reasons. Tell me the big 3 that people say, I got to take my money now when they really shouldn't.
Yeah, and you know, Steve, I've been traveling the country for the last 8 years. I've spoken to tens of thousands of people between financial advisors and clients. These are the 3 reasons that I have personally encountered the most. One is they don't think Social Security is going to be around that long, so they better get their benefits out before it goes bankrupt, right? We addressed that in an earlier show, so I'm not going to do that here. But basically, I wrote a blog, why Social Security is going to be around for at least the next 100 years, even if they don't do anything to fix it, okay? You can check that out and check out that show. The other reasons I encounter is if they delay claiming to age 66 or 70, one, they may die before ever claiming their benefits. They don't want that to happen. They contributed for 35 years. They're not going to take the chance that they die before they get anything, right? They end up getting nothing, okay? The other one is they may die before they break even, okay? Let's address all of these. And what I'm going to do, we'll start with the first one. If I delay claiming and die before I start to collect my benefits, they don't want to run that risk. They think that risk is too high. Well, let's take a look at that risk, Steve. Here we got the life expectancy probability if a male or a female lives to age 62. That's when they can first claim their Social Security. The male has a 94% probability of living to age 66. He has an 86% probability of living to age 70. The female has a 96% probability of living to age 66 and a 90% probability of living to age 70. Steve, there's a much higher, incredibly much higher probability that they'll live up to and beyond those ages than dying before those ages, right? Incredibly high. In fact, you talk about taking a risk. The biggest risk is living too long in retirement and maintaining your quality of life and standard of living, okay? That's the biggest risk. They are really going against the odds by claiming early because they don't want to die before these ages. And now for a married couple, look at this. The probability of at least one of them living to age 66 is 99.8%, almost 100%. The probability that one of them will live to age 70 is 98.6%. Why is that important? Well, the other reason, you know, Steve, conventional wisdom says that if you're in poor health, you should claim your Social Security benefits early, right? Age 62. I think I'm okay with that if you're single, divorced single, widowed single, or just a single individual. But if you're married and you have the bigger benefit, even if you're in poor health, you should probably consider delaying as long as you can. Why? Well, let's take a look at it with this chart. I have Pat, who's the wife. Her benefit's $1,000, full retirement age. Corey's benefit is $1,500. Here's what a lot of married couples do. They both claim early, right? Those benefits are reduced. $750 for Pat, $1,125 for Corey. They go along, things are good, but at age 68, Corey dies, okay? Pat doesn't have to continue to receive the smaller benefit. She can switch to Corey's bigger benefit, which she does. It's actually $1,237, not $1,125, because the minimum benefit is 82.5% of Corey's full retirement age benefit, okay? But this benefit goes away. Now, let's look at the case where Corey says, you know what? I'm going to wait till age 70 so I can maximize my benefit. Same benefit amounts. Pat still claims at 62. Corey's waiting. But again, he dies at age 68, okay? He never got a chance to claim his benefit, never received any Social Security benefits. He doesn't benefit from that, but Pat does, because now she can switch to the benefit he would have gotten at the time of his death, right? Age 68. That's $1,740. That's a lot bigger than the $1,200 he would have left her if he claimed at age 62. And Steve, Pat has a very high probability of living for the next 20, 25, 30 years in retirement. He would have left her in much better shape by delaying his benefit, even though he never got a chance to claim it, okay? So even if the spouse with the bigger benefit is in poor health, they should still consider delaying it as long as they can.
Okay, so we've just put a map here. Even if I have an impairment or a disease or something that's causing a shorter timeline, the math is still on their side to make this delay tactic.
Yeah, if you're married.
I mean, that surprises me, and I bet you our audience as well. They would probably say, hey, I didn't think that would be true. And if I attach that to your first segment about the COLA adjustments, right?
Oh, yeah.
This could be a big play. So I got schooled just a moment here ago, Steve Savant, because I thought the impairment issue would be a good reason to go to 62 and take it.
Yep.
So no, thank you for that. That's a good that's good education.
That's what most people think. The other one is if I delay, I could die before breaking even. You know how this is. People do this break-even analysis. Mostly guys do it. Come up to me, Brian, I ran the numbers. You know, it doesn't make sense. I go, why? Well, if I wait until even age 66, Brian, how long is it going to take me to make up for those 4 years of benefit payments I never received when I was 62, 63, 64, and 65? Well, you know, you do straight line math on the single life, it takes 12 years or until age 78. And a lot of guys say to me, well, you know what, I don't think I'm going to live that long, Brian, so I claimed early. I go, okay, well, let's take a look again at the life expectancy probabilities. A 66-year-old man has a 67% chance of living up to and beyond age 78. Steve, that means he has a 33% chance of dying before that age. He is twice as likely to live up to and beyond that age than die before. The woman has a 75% chance of living up to age 78, which means she only has a 25% chance of dying before that. She is 3 times more likely to live up to that age and beyond. So again, they're going against the odds, Steve. And here's the point. Too many people make poor Social Security claiming decisions because they're afraid of dying too young. Steve, dying young isn't the problem. Dying young solves all the problems. Because when you're dead, you stop spending money. You know that longevity is the biggest risk in retirement. Living a long life and being able to maintain your quality of life and standard of living, that's the biggest challenge. And if you maximize Social Security, you reduce that longevity risk, and that's something that everybody should consider.
Okay, so just make sure I'm understanding now, because I'm kind of bringing up. A break-even is a quality question by any consumer. I totally get that. I want to answer that with respect. I also know that I'm looking at these statistics on actual death. You know, if you go to the Death Master list, I mean, it's just, have you ever seen it? It's monstrous. If I'm looking at numbers like this on my crossover and I add my adjusted COLA that they're going to put on in my final benefit, which we never put in these equations, I think we're going to be sitting there below these numbers. I think that would even change some of these numbers because we haven't really put that inside. So this is a myth. These 3 things, the biggest issue is the company, the government's going to default on this.
Right.
You know, like not in my lifetime. And we're going to die, right?
Yep. Before it's 70, yeah.
Yeah, at 70. And then I'm going to die before I break even.
Right.
All right, so we know now, since the majority of Americans have taken their Social Security construct for seat at 62, they have not died. The Death Master list is chock full of people who took their minimum and they're in their 75, 80, 85. We know this.
Yep.
So your stats are saying, and I think that should put a little bit of fear in people. Can I limp into 66? Can I get to 70?
Yep.
I got to find a way to do that.
Yep, absolutely. And the other thing I want people to understand is that if you're doing retirement income planning, you really need to start with a Social Security claiming decision. And if you're with a financial advisor that doesn't help you make this, then you should find one that does, because this makes the whole retirement income planning process so much easier. Let me give you a quick example. Steve, you know there's 5 big challenges once you retire. There's longevity risk, which is the biggest one. There's withdrawal rate risk, withdrawing too much money from your assets. There's inflation, there's market risk, and there's healthcare costs. Now, Social Security touches all 5 5 of them, either directly or indirectly. I'm going to show you how it touches 3 of them directly, okay? So I've got here a wife's benefit of $1,900, husband's of $2,500. We're going to compare, they both claim as early as possible, meaning they both claim at age 62, okay? Then I have a strategy I have in my book called Claim Early, Claim Late. I'm going to show you the difference there. So they have an income need of $100,000 right at age 70. So if they both claim at age 62, assuming a COLA percentage increase of 3%, their annual income from Social Security at age 70 is going to be $50,000. But over here, we've increased it to $71,820. Steve, this is guaranteed lifetime income. This is income you can't outlive. You know, longevity risk is the biggest risk. How do you get longevity insurance? The best form of longevity insurance is guaranteed lifetime income. We've just increased their guaranteed lifetime income by almost 50%. So we increased their longevity insurance, and we've greatly decreased their longevity risk. That's a very good thing to do. Now, the next one is withdrawal rate risk. A lot of people take out too much money, right? Steve, when I did this, trained financial advisors 10 years ago, they said the ideal withdrawal rate was 4%. Now I read it's 3%. Some people say it's 2%. I don't know what the ideal withdrawal rate is anymore, but what I do know is if you dramatically reduce the withdrawal rate, you dramatically increase the probability their assets and savings will last as long as they live. That's exactly what we've done here. Now, Social Security provides $50,000 of their $100,000 need. That means they have to withdraw $49,840 from their accumulated assets and savings. But over here, because we dramatically increased their Social Security income, the withdrawal rate has fallen to $28,180. Steve, you don't have to be a math genius to realize that if you're only withdrawing $28,000 as opposed to $49,000, these assets are going to last longer in retirement. We've greatly reduced withdrawal rate. That's a very good thing. The third one is inflation. Check this out. So Social Security has this COLA adjustment. Best inflation hedge on the street, okay? So now we have 50% of their income need that's automatically going to adjust to inflation. Pretty good. But over here, we've increased it to almost 72% that's automatically going to adjust to inflation. That by itself is really good. But the other thing too, Steve, is that reduces the pressure on the assets because theoretically, you'd have to take out more money every year from your assets to keep up with inflation. We've reduced longevity risk, we've reduced withdrawal rate risk, and we reduced inflation risk. Steve, it's all good. And if you're doing any kind of retirement income planning, you have to start here. It makes the whole planning process that much easier.
There's huge points to be up, and again, we're talking about maximizing our benefits and taking care of the 5 major risks in retirement. Listen, don't forget to watch our next segment. Can you trust the information from the Social Security Administration? Wow, part 5 in our series on Social Security, America's #1 retirement plan. And keep in mind, before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always check with your tax consultant, legal counsel, financial advisor, and we're talking Social Security, Brian Doherty. You've been watching Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game.